I saw my mom's sacrifices growing up, and my dream was really just do what I wanted to do what I loved, but do it in a way where I could give back to my mom. That was it. That was the only goal that I had for the longest time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Have a Nice Day podcast with your host, Janine.
And Joshua.
Today, we have an amazing guest. A special, amazing, awesome guest.
Okay.
I've met her before on one of my podcasts with a couple of friends.
Give them a shout out.
We miss them. Hello, Mamster Show.
Miss them, yeah.
Yes. It's been a while.
It has.
I'm going to introduce her because she needs the most awesome introduction with everything
Highest
that she
respect.
does.
Oh my God.
So Shereen is half Filipino, half Bahraini. She is a model, a TV presenter. She is the founder of Hope Bahrain,
Wow.
which we'll talk about a little bit later. She's also a podcast host of Loud Besties. So search that up. She is also a top 10 finalist for Miss Universe Bahrain. Welcome, Shereen Ahmed.
Welcome to the podcast.
Not me clapping for myself.
Do it.
Thank you. That was a stunning, marvelous introduction.
Thank you, because you are marvelous.
Oh my God, thank you.
Thanks for your time, for being here. I mean, what are you not doing these days? There's
That is
so
a
many
very,
things.
very true sentence. No truer sentence has been spoken. Yeah, it's been a very focused couple of months for myself, you know, with the months leading up to the competition next month. So, but I like it. I think it's actually interesting and I look forward. But I think when you start something,
Right.
it just becomes a ripple effect of just taking action. And I was in such a space of not taking action for such a long time that I was like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
it's go time.
Yeah.
So fun.
And when you said, let's go, you did.
I did.
You literally did every single thing.
There's something called white girl guilt, right? Where, you know, you're just...
What does that mean?
I've been reading, I think I must have read something about it or saw like a post or something, but it's, you know, like when a girl, she feels, or I think this applies to everyone, I don't think necessarily for girls, but when they feel like, oh, I've been stagnant for a long time, I'm like, and then they just wake up one day and they start going boom, 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 I'm going to start doing all these things. So.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
She did. So let's start with, I believe, the most exciting thing now that's happening, Miss Universe Bahrain.
Yes.
Top 10 finalists.
Yeah.
Hello. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much.
So I want to talk about, this is the second time that you've gotten into the pageant.
This is the second
Okay.
time I'm taking part in Miss Universe Bahrain. I placed the second runner-up in 2022.
Congratulations.
Great experience. Thank you so much. But this is actually my third pageant overall. Not a lot of people know that I also took part back in 2016, I believe. It was called Miss International Princess, but it ended up being a scam.
No.
Yeah, it was one of those. Like, it was a odd situation. I'm not sure that I could really say much more. But it was-
Okay.
so that wasn't a good start to pageantry for me.
Right.
You know?
So that was the first one.
That was the first
Okay.
one. Because I started off with the mindset of, I don't know about pageantry, you know, like there's that common misconception that people have when you first hear about it, right? You think that it's all superficial and this and that. And I had that in the beginning, I'm not going to lie. But then a lot of the community, of course, the Filipino community in Bahrain, of course,
yeah.
you know how they push for you. They were like, take part in this. This is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then that whole scam situation came up. And I was like, okay, well, that's never happening again.
Was it just like a pervert who just wanted to recruit girls and then...
Not really. It was just odd. Like what I remember from it was somebody won the talent round, but none of us had performed in the talent round. So that was when, like, as I was standing there on stage as like a 17 or 16-year-old, I can't remember how old I was. I was like, what in the heck just happened?
You're like, I haven't performed yet.
It was in that moment that my smile was like, hello, what is happening over here?
You're like, if I performed, I would have won.
It traumatized me rather.
God.
So no, I didn't think about pageantry at all. I just focused on everything else, the journalism degree and, you know, work and all of that until 2022. When I felt like, okay, it's great. We're just starting. It's one of the first few years. This was the second they were looking for the second person to represent Bahrain on an international stage. And I thought, what a great way to do that. We've never seen Bahrainis anywhere on a global scale, right? Like that. So why not? Why not give it a try?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And Do you think that being half Filipino, it's what has been instilled in you since you were in, like, from a younger age, that to get into pageants, to get into
Or was there any like pressure from like your family, because it is a big trend now? If you see like Miss Philippines contestants are always half something. So was it like, oh, you're half something, so you might as well try, or was it just something that you really wanted to do?
Well, I'm not gonna lie and say that that wasn't intact. Of course, that's always intact. That you grew up half as a halfie as well. You know the things that come with that. They're like, go
Right.
into this, mag-artista ka, mag-ganito ka.
that's the line, right? Mag-artista
That's
ka.
mag-artista ka. That's always the thing. And again, those were things that never really pressured me, because I always had my own goals. If I was like, I was gonna go into journalism. I just liked writing, so I just wanted to write. Modeling was something that I did just to make extra cash. It wasn't something that I did because, oh my God, I want to model. It was just something that I somehow fit the mold of at the time when I was younger, and I went into that. But to answer your question, yes, it does exist. I don't think it affected me or pressured me in that sense. However, it did slightly influence me in the later years, because I
Right.
have a cousin who's also in pageantry, Angeline May Santos.
Wow.
And she joined so many of them. And I watched her do that. And I admired her from afar for it. It seemed like she kept evolving with every pageant that she joined. And I mean evolution, not just in the sense of her performances in pageantry, but with life. Like the way that she carried herself, she just got even more confident by the day. Her speaking skills kept improving.
Right.
I don't know. And she went into entrepreneurship. And I thought, that's so interesting. I mean, if pageantry could do that for her,
Right.
then maybe there's something there where it could help me build more of what I thought I was lacking, which was at the time confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
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 But look at you now. Gosh.
God, thank
Confident
you.
woman.
Oh my God,
No, I'm
thank
super
you.
proud of you because, you know, a couple of years ago we met and you were sort of
I was so shy,
starting-
by the way.
Yes, I remember.
You remember?
I remember.
I barely said anything in that podcast,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
I was like a guest that day, and I feel like I was just watching them speak, and I was so amazed. And
Yeah.
I was already a semi-presenter at that point, but
Right.
I hadn't found my voice yet. I was just like,
Right.
ooh, let me analyze everything and
Yeah.
then see how it can go from here.
No,
Yeah.
it's so nice to see. And
Yeah.
really, like, we're all so proud of you,
Oh,
like
thank
being in a top 10. And look at you now, being a TV presenter and all that.
Thank you.
So I saw this reel on your Instagram, and it was like a collage of all of your TV presenting at Emirates Draw. And the caption that you put in is like POV, like this was your dream when you were younger, like living your dream
Yeah.
of what you envisioned yourself when you were younger. How does that feel for you that you're actually living the life?
I mean, it's incredible, right? It was something that I remember writing down in my diary when I was like 8 years old. I want to be a journalist, or like something that has anything to do with writing or telling a story. That was the point. I didn't know what that was going to be specifically, but it feels like a dream every single day. It really doesn't feel like work. It's so true what they say when you watch those other podcasts, let's say, or movies or interviews with people who are doing what they love. It really doesn't feel like work when you're going into something and you're just passionate about it.
And you love what you
And
do.
you love what you're doing.
And it shows, right?
That's the best thing, you know, like when you're doing something that you love and you get actually paid for it, and you're like, wow.
like,
this is-
wow, is my life actually a
Yeah,
reality?
yeah,
You almost feel like, really? Like, am I supposed to be?
I
It feels unreal sometimes.
Right.
Yeah,
So
like
it's
imposter syndrome kicking in. I'm like, do I
Always.
really deserve this? And
Yeah.
like, did I really work that hard? But then you start realizing and comparing where you were like 10 years ago to where you are now. And you're like, yeah, all the steps that I've taken in my journey have really led me here to this point. And that's where you have to start realizing like, wow, I can do something like this, and I can be like a role model for a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's such a proud moment, like to see where you are at now versus where you wanted to be when you were younger.
Yeah.
And with that, I have one question. Like, if you could like talk to your younger self, what would your advice be to a younger Shereen?
I love this question because I often write letters to my younger self, you know, in different stages of my life. So, you know, I'm very in tune with my younger self. We talk a lot, actually, rather. But what I would tell her right now is just keep doing what she was doing. You know, maybe slow down a little bit and live life like a child still, because I think I was so, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I was just in a rush to grow up, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's a being
was me.
slightly half Filipino thing
Yeah.
and the pressures that come
Yeah.
like let's not lie, you know, mom.
Exactly.
So that I really instilled that within me, and I was like, okay, I saw my mom's sacrifices growing up, and my dream was really just do what I wanted to do what I loved, but do it in a way where I could give back to my mom. That was it. That was the only goal that I had for the longest time, and still to this day. So I think that's what really fueled me. So speaking to my younger self, slow down,
Right.
take a chill pill, hang out with your friends. It's okay. Like, it's not going to kill you to hang out with them for a few days out of, you know, because I was just very, let's do this. Like, you know, how
so
I still am
focused.
now.
Yeah.
Like to-do lists, goals. I was just trying to check them off every single time. I even went to the Philippines to finish my high school studies a little bit earlier.
Right.
Like the 10th grade situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you
day.
can graduate at 10th.
Yeah, so I went to the Philippines for a year just to do that, just to graduate early, and I left my like fellow batchmates in Bahrain behind, and I was like, bye guys.
Bye. You still have 2
Suckers.
years to go.
Yeah. They had 1 year left. To be
yeah,
fair, we had
true.
1 year left.
Yeah.
So, but I was so
makes
impatient.
a lot of difference though. It does
A lot. And to me, I was just like, yes, high school done. Let's get to college done. Work done. So slow down is what I would tell her. But also, ultimately, I'm happy where I am now. So I don't know.
Because of the steps that you've taken.
Because of the steps that I've taken. And I like that I am a determined, passionate, and focused person. And I don't know. I don't know that I would ask her to change anything.
Yeah.
But she's doing well. Love that for you, Shireen. You're doing amazing. sweetie.
Yes, that's
it.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. As we grow older, like having that mindset of like, keep going, do everything, achieve everything. Because I was the same when I was younger. But now that I'm 32 now, I'm turning 33 in a few months. I keep telling myself, like, it's okay. Slow down, enjoy life.
Exactly.
Nothing's going to take anything away from you if you don't achieve it today. And life is meant to be enjoyed. You know, you're here to enjoy life. And as you said, it's a balance.
Yeah.
You work hard, but also like you get to enjoy the
Work hard, play hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get to enjoy and reap the benefits of what you've actually worked hard for.
Exactly.
So guys, don't forget to like.
But it's like it's a very Asian thing also, I would say, like where it's like bang bang bang, you got to keep doing stuff.
We're wired.
Not
hardwired.
Yeah, and then there was this whole movement of, you know, that hustle mentality which came out with like what Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's like, oh, I only sleep 2 hours a day, got to keep working, grinding, and then
The 5
people
a.m.
started
club and what.
exactly, and then people started realizing this is not sustainable at all. I'm gonna crash and burn. I'm gonna get into some severe anxiety and depression because they're like, if I don't do this, then in the back of my mind, you're like, oh, you're a failure. It's like all these small things. But then every now and then you really need to take a step back, because if you're really like on the 6th gear and driving on the road, you really like don't stop and like smell the roses, and you don't see like, oh, you know, I'm going to take a step back and just see where I am and then recalibrate. Okay, do I need to really keep going at this speed, or can I slow it down a little bit? And then, but this, in reality, it only happens when, you know, people get that strange wake-up call where they're like, how am I feeling sick when I'm just 32? How am I, like, getting all these...
Yeah. Don't let it get to that point, right?
Don't wait till that you get that final...
health check.
Yeah,
Final
like health check
warning.
or something like that. Yeah, just...
And I think
rest.
that's what the pandemic did for most of us, I imagine, right? It was just like a sign to, obviously, it was a tragic time for a lot of people, but also it was a sign to slow down.
Yes.
With the capitalism and all of the, just the hustle mode that was going on. Because I was also on that path of like, let's keep going. And then it was only in that lockdown that I realized, I have, like you said, I haven't stopped to smell the roses at all. I thought I was, but really no, taking the 2 seconds to do that and having the gratitude journal, I mean, that's not all there is. There's really a beauty in slowing down as well. And you can still achieve what you want even with that kind of pace, if you will.
With a rest. Like resting doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. It's actually you doing something in return for all of the hard work that you're actually pushing through.
But the key word that I think is in here is enjoyment. Because even when we started the podcast, Janine and I, we would do this once a week. And then there was a time Janine actually came to me like, this is really getting
It's becoming
too
like a
much.
job.
Because we have full-time jobs. We were in the process of planning a wedding. We were not living together. We were like the traditional sort of couple. We have each our own places and stuff. We would come on the weekend instead of, like having a date night or like planning weddings or spending time with our families.
Yeah.
We'd come and record a podcast, and then one of us would either edit it. And then Janine was like, I think we're going like full steam ahead. We're amateur podcasters in that sense. We don't really need to put out content like Joe Rogan, like 4 episodes in a week. And then you realize like that is actually true. Like this is something that we started as a passion project, something that we wanted to share to the world. And if we're not enjoying it at the same time,
There's
then
no
it really,
point.
really
Yeah.
makes no sense. Yeah, we were just like, oh, I cannot go meet my friends today, or cannot spend time with my family or spend time with her because I'm sitting in front of a computer on a weekend.
Wait, how many
Editing.
episodes were you guys vying for in the early days?
1 a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
What a week. This is episode 85.
86.
Love
86.
Yeah.
And you started when?
2020
Yeah.
September.
Okay.
No,
that's
August.
good.
August 2020. Yeah.
So there's no like time frame anymore. It's just like whenever we have a guest and if they're interesting enough to go
Yeah.
on the show, then we'll
Right.
do that.
So we're
That's
targeting
great.
2 in a month, so every other week.
Yeah.
Okay.
But sometimes we take breaks, especially because it's so difficult if we're not a full-time podcaster or full-time not in the entertainment business. It's really hard to sit down. I know we have a room literally opposite our bedroom, but just coming and walking to here, setting all this up, and then the editing part.
The editing part is
Yeah.
the gruesome part, right?
Yeah. It gets tough, but again, it goes back to are you actually passionate about it enough
Exactly.
to keep it going? I mean, and so far, it's gonna be 4 years.
Because I've always told people, like, I know it's been like a passion of, like, if people want to start a podcast, I'm like, yeah, I know it might be a passion of yours, or it could be anything in general, but once you start doing it and you feel like it's not you, and then there's this sense of guilt and shame if they don't complete the task. Like if you start a book and you're like, okay, I'm not really feeling this book, but I'm like, I need to still read it till the end because I need to tick it out of my reading list.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, if you don't like the book, if you're feeling it's not going anywhere,
It's not
close
for
it and
you.
start something else.
True,
Yeah. So
true.
because there's a lot of people who are like, oh, you said that you would start this and now you're not doing it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm more mature now to understand that, yeah, okay, it must have been something I wanted in last year, what younger Joshua wanted, but in reality, once you're in that zone,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's where the true self-awareness comes in,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Realizing what you want, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and that it's not just something to take off.
True.
It's okay to pivot in life. You can change.
I
your
love that word,
interests.
pivot.
Yeah.
The Friends episode.
Yes. Pivot.
And it really does apply to everything. You're so right. I was also very afraid of pivoting in my youth. I was always like, oh no, but this was my dream. This was my goal. I need to just stick to that. I don't want to go anywhere else. But then when you let go of that parang strictness with yourself,
Right.
when you're open to trying different things, it works out better. You realize things you would have never otherwise realized about yourself, your capabilities, and it can put you somewhere completely random, like
Yeah.
presenting for me. I
Yeah.
never wanted to be a presenter,
Yeah.
for
And-
example.
And how did you get into TV presenting?
Well, I was working for 11 Dubai, I think even the time when you met me, and I was a writer. I was just writing articles for them. And that was what I was doing with them for 2.5 years until they asked me to move from Bahrain to Dubai again. And then they said, okay, we want to introduce videos now. So go and record yourself. And I'm like, what do you mean? I don't have any training. I was and still am a shy person, which not a lot of people can tell from the first look.
Right.
But it takes me a while to speak up, open up, and all of that. So that took a lot. But eventually being put on the spot was what helped make it more comfortable as the time came. And I found it to be fun towards the end. Parang
Right.
I thought that masaya pala. I mean, I could talk apparently up a storm. So
Yes.
it's great.
Were these the live ones in the morning?
The live ones in the
yeah.
morning. Then we would have special shows where we would talk to the communities, like Ramadan or talking to the Filipino communities. It depends on whatever the feature was about.
Right.
So that was a great learning experience
Yeah.
for me. Parang training na siya actually without,
Yes.
the
'Cause
formalities.
It's very different where, as you said earlier, there are two things. You have the live and then you have the recorded ones.
Yeah.
So the recorded ones, you can, ease yourself into
You make
it. 'cause,
mistakes.
Yeah.
I can
you're
play
like,
with it.
"Ah, it can be edited.
delete
But
this thing."
live, that's...
Oh.
That's something.
So that's where my, semi-panic attacks came in. I was like, you guys, are you sure you don't want to train me? Like, what am I going to say? Like,
Right.
the first week I was like, what do I say? What do I do? I didn't even have a teleprompter then,
I was just gonna ask, if you
I
had
was such a
something.
noob that I was just really went into it. I would just have the articles that I wrote about the night before,
Right.
or something that I wrote that same morning. And it was the first thing that I did. The second I got into the office, first hour, I would go in and have to address people live with these news stories that I
Wow.
wrote the night before or the day of. So I just had to, based on what I wrote, kind of talk about that and try as much as possible not to sound like a fool. But I felt like I was very foolish.
Yeah.
In the beginning, you would even see comments like, what did one person say? There's a specific comment that I think stuck to me. She was like, beauty is not what makes a presenter or something like that.
No,
She
what a
tried it.
Hater.
She tried it.
What
And
a
that's
hater.
really what prompted and pushed me to be like, okay, I now I
Yeah.
need to back it up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what does she know? She doesn't know the context that I didn't really have a say into this, I
Right.
wasn't ungrateful for it. It was still a great thing to be pushed into it. I was like, why not add another life skill? However, that was,
Yeah.
and I don't blame her. I
Yeah.
really was rambling, to be honest.
But good on you. You took that comment,
Yeah.
that negative comment, and you're like, you know what?
Yeah.
Let me improve on it.
Yeah. I like a challenge. If
Yeah.
you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it tenfold for sure.
I'm gonna prove you wrong. Here you
Yes,
go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so from there, you moved into
From
TV
there,
presenting.
actually, well, in the pandemic, I lost my job.
Right.
And I had to move back to Bahrain. But then I was offered a role to be editor-in-chief of a publication that was kind of similar to what Lovin does, but in Bahrain. It's called Local BH. And I did that for not a long time. I think 2 months. I think nasanay na kasi ako. Sorry, is it fine that I
It's
speak?
Yeah,
fine. Go ahead.
Nasanay na kasi ako sa parang work life and the pace in Dubai.
Right.
That at this point I was like, I don't know what it is. There's a feeling in me that I feel like I should be in Dubai, even if
Okay.
there was technically nothing for me anymore. I had to leave my apartment behind, leave everything behind. Absolutely had no money left, all of that. It was such a bad time when I lost my job, like bad timing, because I had just moved into an apartment, paid
Right.
for everything brand new, had to sell everything at a loss, because when people were buying things, they were like, but what if it has the virus? You know?
Yeah.
What if your mattress has the virus? I'm like, hey, no, I just got it a month ago. What do you mean?
You can COVID test my mattress.
You
It's okay.
know? All of
Do a
that.
PCR on it.
So, I mean, it really taught me a great lesson, right? To
Right.
just, like you said earlier, parang be okay with pivoting and all of that. But
Yep.
that's what led to the presenting. After that, I went back to Dubai and was doing freelancing for a bit, freelance writing, modeling here and there. And I was like, it's fine. As long as kahit wala akong pera at the moment, I just feel better here. Something's going to happen. And that's the mindset I always have of like, I don't
Right.
worry about things. I don't
Yep.
worry. I had to go into a shared space. I had never done that in my life. After 2021, and no one's going to be able to tell, right? Your posts on Instagram are still like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
What they don't know is that I was in a bed space and there's like curtains like dividing us. And I'd never experienced that, but I had to put away my pride. Right. I was like, this is a living situation that I have to accept for now because I'm trying to get to, I don't know what it is, but there's something that's going to come up. I just feel it.
Yeah.
So that took about, that feeling took like maybe just a few months. And then that's when this lady approached me, this casting woman, and was like, we need a Filipino presenter. Do you speak Tagalog and English? And I just so happened to speak
Both.
Tagalog and English. Yes.
That is
So,
amazing.
went to the casting, and I remember her even saying this is one of the best castings I've ever seen in my life for presenting. And I, like you said, like I said, the only experience was really the live. So I owe that to those random lives, I guess, that it made me parang mas sanay to be just natural and on the spot, as
Yeah.
opposed to, because I think that's what works best, right?
Yes.
Even for you guys as podcast hosts, you know that when you're watching somebody, ultimately it's authenticity that we can see through.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of people, like, that's what I remind a lot of people. Whatever you're going into, if you don't know what to do or how to approach it, just literally, this, as the saying goes, be yourself.
Yes.
It's oversaid because it is true. We can tell when you're trying to put on a persona.
Yes. And
We can tell.
reading something just for the sake of reading it.
Exactly.
But as you said, like being yourself is also the years of training behind that.
True.
That you pushed yourself, You told yourself, let's do it, despite you having those mini panic attacks here and there.
True.
But everything led to, as you said, the right moment where something was going to happen.
Exactly. It's all the accumulation of all of your life experiences and the hardships you went through and how you go against the tide and kind of come out on the other end.
Yeah. That's such an awesome story because it's so encouraging to people to just be your front runners, what they call it, or the best person who will push yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's no one else who will root for you. Maybe your mom and your
great
dad
friends and great friends.
and great
to
friends.
Be fair. Yeah.
But really, you are your best supporter.
Yeah.
And so if you don't start supporting yourself, even if everyone around you will keep pushing you, even if your parents have like 120% belief on you, if you don't start that with yourself, it's not gonna
happen.
And that's a great story to really say, like,
thank you.
I actually felt really inspired by that, and you opening up about, like, you know, because some people get so ashamed, you know, like, okay, I'm in the phase of me pursuing my dreams, and I know, like, okay, I need to cut stuff here and there, so I'm gonna stay in a
sacrifices must be made, dude.
Exactly. And people don't realize, I know, like, you know what, I'll just get a 1-bedroom now because I know in 6 months I'll be able to afford it. I know that my credit card is always there. It's my best friend, so I can make all these expenses now and just pay it off in the future. But some people are not realistic at all.
Yeah.
They will come up like and say, yeah, you know, I'll just make all these expenses now, like what I basically just said. But it's so good that you're actually so self-aware. I'm like, you know, I'm gonna take all these hits on my chin right now.
Yeah.
And work from there and then progress. My lifestyle will progress as long as I progress.
True.
Yeah. But thanks for sharing that. But also because you knew it was temporary, you know?
Yeah.
You had that fuel in you.
And I was I was and still am a breadwinner as well to my mom, right? So I had to take that into account of, okay, I'm only making what at most, let's say in a month, I was making 2,000 to 4,000 sometimes from the freelancing. Then you put it into the rent, then you put it into the food, and then the transportation to get to places, plus sending money back home to my mom. Because I was like, that's the priority.
Yeah.
Diba? Naka-instill na yun talaga sa akin na yun yung priority. So I can't not do that, especially in a pandemic where they're in a province. Like, where are you going to get your income from? Their business had to stop as well.
Yeah.
So that, for me, not being able to send would have been much worse than staying in a bed space. It's fine. I learned a lot. I lived with the great women who were working hard for their families as well. And it was an experience that I would have never otherwise ever been in had this situation not occurred. I would have never met the different types of people in the world in Dubai that are working so hard to make a living for themselves, for their families, who have hopes and dreams. And actually, it's great. Natuto rin ako ng mga tips na parang, you know, how to budget yourself well, it's great.
Yeah.
'Cause I was always just somebody that was like, money comes and goes. You know, that was always my mindset, even though I worked for my money since the age of 15.
Right.
But it was great to now really value every dirham.
Yes.
And see how these women with families back home made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so at that time, your mom had already moved
moved back
permanently to the Philippines.
Yes.
And how was, because I know that you're super close to your mom.
Yes.
So how was that? Like her not being, you know, just a few hours flight away from you anymore. And she's like in the Philippines. And I don't think you have a sibling, right?
I do have
you
siblings.
do?
I do
Okay.
have siblings,
Okay.
yes. But I'm an only child from
Okay.
my mom and dad. So
Right.
sometimes it always feels like I
Yes.
am an only child. But of course, no, I'm getting to know them now as well and, you know, developing a relationship. But, well, yeah, I miss my mom. Like you said, it was always comfortable knowing I could take a flight. And iba talaga yung when you have your mom around you to just support you or feel like you can lean back on her. But, you know, I left home anyway at the age of 16 to study in Philippines, high school on my own. I don't know why. What a psychotic little
Where in the
Scorpio.
Philippines did you study?
I studied in Southville, Las Piñas,
Yes.
I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So I forced that whole thing. I was like, I want to move back to the Philippines. Namimiss ko ng Pinas. Parang something, I don't know. Stubborn. And I went there, studied there for a year, but I couldn't really continue my college education there kasi ang daming, you know how it is, the process is so long.
Yeah.
They want forms here, proof that you're a Filipino here. That to the point my mom and I were like, okay, fine, like just go back to Bahrain.
Right.
But that 1 year was also great.
Yeah.
Where was I forgot my point.
And
Oh, my
being,
mom.
yes, your mom.
Yes.
So I wanted to touch upon, because we've also talked about this in Hello Ma'am Sir Show podcast.
Yes.
How you had the closest relationship, and she's like your number one supporter,
Yes.
and you know, you are where you are now because of her. So
Yeah.
um
The pillar of my existence,
Yes.
basically.
yes, and thanks
You're so
Tita.
Filipino, by the way. You're so
Isn't
Filipino.
it? Isn't
Yeah.
it? Somebody once was telling me, like, I was just like ranting about my life's problems, and he was like, "You're basically like every athlete ever." Like that. My one goal is to give back to my mom. And I'm
Right.
like, that's true, you know.
Yeah.
But it's also such a Filipino thing.
It's the most Filipino. I'm telling you, every guest you've had always talks about how close they are with their mom.
Yeah.
For every
And-
Filipino guest we have, yeah.
Every Filipino guest, and how the Filipino mom's life is really dominant. If they're especially half, like we've had so many halfies here, but they're always like the Filipino moms.
Yeah.
Really instill in their children so many life values. And then you talk about remitting money to the Philippines, the most Filipino thing.
Yeah. Balikbayan boxes.
Yeah,
and
exactly,
boxes, everything.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Like literally, our houses growing up, we would like in the kitchen there would be balikbayan box. I'm like, why do we have boxes in our kitchen? And it's so cool to see, you know, like it's still like how much the word value, how much value the word family really holds in a Philippine
Yes. Very true.
household.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we were also talking about this, like how it's also a little bit harsh, I would say, on some people.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they would be like, okay, I came to Dubai, I'm getting 1,200 dirham salary, and I still need to send half of it back to the
You're right,
Philippines.
the
So
pressure.
it's a little bit hit or miss when it comes to the
Yeah.
whole value thing. But I think in time you will realize, like sometimes, okay, whatever I can really give to my family, I will give.
Yes.
That's not a problem for me. And there's
Yeah.
sometimes I need to also look out for myself, because if I'm suffering a lot, then it also loses its value. Then
Very
you'll
true.
start getting hits with so many things, and then you won't be able to continue on that journey. So it's time to also it's just like a wake up call, I would
That's
guess.
real talk, Josh. That's
Yeah.
real talk what he just said. There's so many people na parang sa kultura natin, parang it's so prevalent na maging sacrificial
Yeah.
almost. Para lang
Right.
masaya sila doon na you don't even get to tell them like how you're doing. And I have some friends here that because of that sacrificialness, parang it really took a toll on their health. You know what I mean? On their
Yeah.
lives even.
Right.
So,
'Cause
yeah.
they would get everything.
They would get everything.
Yeah.
Kahit wala na para sa kanila.
Yes.
And you really do have to think of yourself as well. Kasi nobody's gonna do it for you, especially sa ibang bansa. Diba? You don't
Right.
have some of the privileges you would have when you're back in your hometown. So
Yes.
keep a lookout for yourself, you guys.
And I think also it goes both ways, right? The main reason maybe that pushed you to work abroad is to better your life and maybe better your family's life as well back home.
Mhm.
But then the thin line is when you're supposed to be bettering your life, but you're giving everything that you're actually sacrificing your mental health, your physical health. And then the other side of it is that the families then become so dependent
Yes.
on their OFW family member that they forget they also need to push themselves.
Exactly.
You know? And you just have to find the right balance.
The right balance,
Right?
yeah.
You know, you're here because of a certain reason, and don't forget that that reason is to also better yourself.
Very true.
Yeah.
For a
Yeah.
lot of OFWs that happen.
Because there was, I mean, there still is a trend, and there was a big trend of, you know, like I'll say it nicely, but like the lower income families growing up, they would have multiple children just so they know, like, okay, I'm gonna secure my future. If I have like 5 kids, they will get out of Philippines, move to different countries, then they'll all start sending money back to me. So like my retirement, my future is sorted. But then they started realizing, oh, now I have to feed 5 mouths growing up. Okay, only 2 of them can go to university. So which 2 will I send? How will I raise these kids? Are they really that well, like
Able.
well able to actually leave the country and send money back to me? And then they start realizing, oh, I sent my son to US, but he's not sending me any money. And then, you know, like it comes down to
Becomes
like,
a cycle.
it becomes a cycle. And it's sad. Like there should be like a very fine line of like, okay, I'm a parent. I need to also work out for myself because my kid's gonna have their own life one day. They're gonna get married. They're gonna have their own family. So it's tough to see as well. But I like it when people are so they know their situation really well, and they can really make the right decisions, like you, like us, like so many other Filipinos that we know. But then there's sometimes they're like, my dad will get angry if I don't send him his monthly allowance today. So
And that's where the dependency comes,
yeah, that's where the depends.
right?
Then the person who's working, like, okay, I have two bosses, one guy I have to please, and then one my family back home where I have to send money. They will literally message me on salary day. Are you going to Western Union today? Yeah.
Oh, pressure.
Then that person is just like, oh, what am I gonna do?
Yeah. So it's knowing how to keep your boundaries as well in a really nice and
Exactly.
respectful way.
Yeah,
This
that's
is
the word,
something
that's the word,
that I was even telling my sister because she has her child back home. Na parang sabi ko, you know, of course, magpadala ka if you can, as much as you can and all of that, right? But keep in mind na kailangan mong, if you're looking for that financial security in the future, diba?
Right.
Which was, again, I don't think a lot of us were raised with that, financial literacy. That's something I had to learn myself
Such a
recently.
good point. Yeah.
Keep in mind na sabi ko, kailangan mo mag-save, mag-invest, think of other options na, kasi hindi ka pwedeng 9 to 5 naman habang buhay.
Right.
Tatanda ka rin, ganyan. So what's gonna happen then with your child? Ano na, diba?
There's no security in a
So,
9 to 5.
as much as push your child to parang find his own side gigs like we did when we were younger. Also keep in mind now, whatever you're sending there, have some savings for you, your child, whatever, so that the cycle freaking ends. We're
Yes.
tired.
Yes.
We are so tired.
Yes.
You know, I want the whole family to rise up. I don't
Yeah.
want us to have to depend on each other. I want us all to work together.
Yeah.
And that will only happen when we all like share and teach each other how to grow together.
Yeah.
But everybody needs to get on that level of, diba? Parang, let's be, parang focus on the gigs. Focus on what you can find or
Yes.
accumulate. Para,
That's
save
so
your
true. We're not wired to be entrepreneurs. We're not wired to be investors because we're wired to go work, go do your 9 to 5,
Yeah.
keep your head down,
Yeah.
and after that you get old.
Yeah.
You retire at the age of 60 or 70 when you're super tired, and then that's it. And then repeat the cycle again with the next generation.
And we
But-
can't blame them, right? Because that's also, it's just a case for any other country as well. Middle
Yes.
class, lower working
Yes.
class. It's just not even taught anywhere.
Yes.
But, I
Yes.
mean, we have the internet now. So.
Yes. And it's super encouraging to see the new generation starting to understand that there is a different way to living life.
Exactly.
You know, there's a different way to what their parents and their grandparents used to believe in.
True.
And I'm hopeful for what
The future generation.
For the future generation.
Me
So
too.
it's only gonna be better from here on.
Inshallah.
Hopefully. Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
I love it when she switches accent from like Tagalog. And
You do
then-
the exact same thing, by
You
the
do the
way.
exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's our thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would reply to my friends in Tagalog, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have like a lag
Yes.
in the switching
What's your
department.
thinking language?
Ooh, mostly English, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because, I write a lot in English.
Right.
And all that.
Yeah.
So, but there are days. I think in Philippines, parang more Taglish yung thinking ko.
Yes.
Diba?
When I go back home, for some reason, biglang naging Tagalog
Nagiging
yung,
switch.
yung brain ko. And then when I speak to Josh, we're always like speaking in English. It's an English household.
Yeah.
But then in the Philippines, I tend to speak more Tagalog with him just so that he can practice his Tagalog as well.
So
But even my
interesting.
Tagalog gets so much better there whenever I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with my dad, or when we go to Lebanon, then it suddenly becomes like, wow, look
Arabic.
at me speaking fluent Lebanese Arabic.
You
all
even
of a
forget
sudden.
that you speak
Yeah.
the language
Yes.
sometimes, right? Like, I was just in Bahrain literally yesterday, and I was like, what is going on? Like, look at me go, like in my full Arabic. Hello, where is this when I'm in Dubai?
You become much more confident,
Yeah.
right? But then you come here and
You
you're
have
like,
no choice. They just force speak you into like the
Exactly.
Arabic.
And
So I'm like,
you have to switch into your Arabic mode right away.
yeah.
Yeah. I love how our brains have these like little
So
Yeah, these auto
interesting.
switches.
So would
Yeah.
you guys, like, if you know, when you have a child,
Yeah.
would you teach your child then all of the languages from a
I would
young
love
age?
to. I'd love
Right?
to. Because they say, you know,
Hindi.
I hope
I don't
that
speak
he
You do not
doesn't.
speak
Yeah.
Hindi.
So that she always gets angry, like, why didn't you never learn him?
Sayang.
But same like similar to you, my dad is a journalist, so he was also always English around the house.
Yeah.
he would use words that no one would ever know as well.
know.
And I'm like, what are you speaking? Like all
He'd
these
be
big
like,
words.
it is a very maleficent kind of a day, child.
But he speaks a ton of languages, my dad as
Oh,
well.
wow.
But I think just growing up, and especially in the Filipino, if you have a Filipino wife, she definitely wears the pants. So she would always speak in Tagalog to us. So that's how we picked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're more exposed in the Filipino culture.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
yeah. So you got more of that
Very true. Very
as
true.
well. But yeah, we in the future, when we would, God willingly, have kids, I would love for them to speak as much languages as they can.
Right.
So hopefully when they're young, I just speak anything that I can to them. And hopefully his dad can help with the Hindi part,
Have a podcast
Right.
like today. Hindi egg.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hindi, English,
Arabic,
and
Tagalog.
Tagalog.
Yeah.
Boom.
That would be an iconic child.
The best
That child would never
GCC
have an
child,
issue
right?
with the jobs. I'll tell you that
This
much.
child is gonna be the hairiest child. In the
Oh
world.
my God. Relate.
You have that Lebanese
I relate
chest
to your
hair.
child, actually, rather.
Kid will hit puberty at 2, and like, where does all
Have a
this hair-
mustache and
Like, but parents, why? Get me the laser hair removal packages now.
exactly.
He'd be at
Yeah.
school and people think he's a teacher. He's like, "Perhaps one of you."
Why do you have a mustache already? What is happening?
I'm
with you?
triggered.
And she's a
And not me remembering my yearbook photos, the Shanab era. Oh God. Oh no.
Oh gosh. Okay, I'm getting a little bit more serious this time when we thought
I told you we'd end up rambling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
exactly,
know. But those are the fun parts. Those are the
Yeah.
fun parts.
So when I was introducing Shereen earlier, I touched upon Hope Bahrain.
Yes.
And funny enough, tomorrow is actually Mother's Day in the Philippines and the US. So a bigger majority of the world is going to be celebrating Mother's Day tomorrow. And we would love to know more about Hope Bahrain and what it is.
Well, it's just in its launching phase. I'm working really hard to try to incorporate growing it more, with the pageantry and my own job and everything. It's a lot at the moment, but this was something that has been in the works, I would say, since 2021. I was really inspired by the work of Hope MLUAE. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them, but what they do is they provide essential needs to single mothers and families here in the UAE. With that, what they do is parang community siya on social media. And some moms will reach out to them like, hi, I have this baby. We don't really have, I don't have work. I haven't had work. I need money for this. So they'll say like the diapers that they need,
Okay.
the baby formula, or sanitary napkins for the women. Parang just little things that will help
Yeah.
essentially give them hope.
Right.
Na parang, okay, we've got you now. And then if by the time comes now you have a job and you're able to, you can then pay that forward and donate it to the next mom.
Yeah.
So it's really just a whole community situation. And I was really inspired by that because I was friends with somebody who was a single mom here in UAE. Oh my God, I don't want to cry. But what's it called? Yeah. She,
Okay.
oh my God, I didn't expect to actually cry. But anyway.
Wait, I'll get.
Go get
Oh my
tissues,
God, thanks,
Josh.
Josh.
Fetch some tissues.
Thanks, Josh.
It's tough. It's tough. being a
Yeah,
single
no,
mom.
but I
Yeah.
saw firsthand the struggles that she was going through, and I tried, to help as much as possible here and there.
Right.
But what happened? She told me about the group, and she told me that they managed to help her, and she was just shy to ask again.
Yeah.
But I remember looking into the page, and I was like, "That's so interesting."
Yeah.
And then I saw all of the other women that they helped, and Abby, thank you so much. And Abby, the founder, I just saw the work that she was doing and that it was just led by love, and that really inspired me. And I thought, as somebody who was also raised by a single mom, don't get me wrong, my mom had a lot of help from the community as well. There were people, I'm not going to say that there wasn't, there were people that always chimed in with help here and there. And that's why community is so important to me,
Yes.
because it really takes a village to raise a child.
That is so true.
So that's really why I started Hope Bahrain.
Yeah.
So hopefully I will get to do what they do here in Hope UAE in Bahrain, because I know there are a lot of single moms there as well that could benefit from something like this.
That's amazing.
So how can one if help out, or if they wanted to try to pitch in and start the whole movement from their side, what is something that they can do? Is it a Facebook group?
Well, in UAE, if you guys are in the UAE, they're on social media. Yes, they're on Facebook. There's a Facebook group. They're on Instagram as well. And what happens is I think you just really reach out. You send a DM if you're a mom or a family in need, and you mention what you need, and they try their best to get to you, because there's always big donations from people, and if you want to donate, you can do that by reaching out as well. So they will tell you, parang, I think there's a link, an Amazon link,
Okay.
with like the kind of diapers, the kind of baby
Okay, like their
formulas,
wish list
their wish
sort of,
list
yeah,
sort of
okay.
thing. So you order that, and then they will parang get it to the people that need it.
So they sort of connect. Like,
They connect. It's a
people.
bridge.
Yeah.
They basically bridge the gap between the two, and I hope to be able to do that very, very soon in Bahrain. So if anybody's watching from Bahrain, if you know somebody who's in need, have them reach out. It doesn't have to be public.
Yeah.
Obviously, we will want to share with the people where their help is going, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we have to put your picture there. It's up to you. Parang we can crop you out. We cannot post it if you don't want it. But I just wanted to show first, kasi initial stages pa lang.
Right.
Now, of course, what you're giving is going to these families and these women in need.
It's going somewhere.
Yeah, if you're in need, DM, and then we'll connect you to somebody, or we will reach out and give you and provide hopefully what you need. For now, that's the Bahrain part.
Yeah.
We would love to actually get involved. So if you need any help from either of us, please do let us know. Especially if
Thank you.
like even if it's Bahrain or even if it's here.
UAE. Well, the UAE is already in existing, but I always talk about it in my stories. You guys, it's called Hope MLUAE. Whenever you guys want something, just reach out. They have their Amazon wish list. Sometimes it depends, but it's a case-by-case situation. Parang minsan maybe they'll have more of these items, but not of this. She's always, that founder is talking about it on her socials. So get on there, and then she makes it really easy, parang even if it's just through online.
Nice.
So hopefully in the future for Bahrain, I'll be able to make it that much easier for people as well.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That's such a good cause to support, because as you said, it does take a village. And our moms, especially the single moms, I mean, even moms who are supported by their husbands, that's already tough.
Yes,
So can you
exactly.
imagine a single mom.
Especially in this economy.
Yes.
In today's economy, prices are rising everywhere. So imagine already being a single mom, having to take care of these kids, but then watching them not have a meal. It's hard. It's hard, you know? Like, as somebody who, like, I remember in my childhood, there were moments where my mom and I parang, you know, kailangan tipid-tipid yung pagkain, or talagang walang pagkain minsan. Parang it gets to you. So you're like, you don't want other people to go through that.
Yeah, because you've experienced it as well. Yeah. You know, growing up, I've also seen how hardworking my parents are. And I'm always grateful for that experience, because I've seen the struggle of the parents, of being outside of your comfort zone, leaving your family from back home.
But the thing is, we only see the surface level, right? And they never really told us, oh, we actually are like in 20,000 dirhams of credit card debt.
Oh, no, my mom told me. That's why I was so strict on myself. That focus did not come. Every day I was told, you know.
So you're aware.
I was very much incredibly aware of all the details. And you know what though, later on in her adulthood, she did mention that parang, I wish I wasn't so upfront, because that wasn't your issue to deal with. It is still my responsibility. And I was like, that's fine, because at the end of the day, it may have more empathy towards moms. It made me understand you more. Parang, you know, you just look at life through a different lens.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
I always say that now I'm entering, you know, I'm in my early 30s. And when you're way younger, there are some moments when you don't understand your mom. You're like, why is she doing this? Why is she saying that? But then you get older and you actually turn into your own mom.
Turn into your mother. Oh my God.
There are some instances when I'm like, whoa, okay, that's what my mom would, you know,
same
do.
line.
Yes.
Same line and everything.
And I'm like, okay, really? The words mom knows best is there's no more truer words.
Truer than
that.
ever.
Yeah. Because they know. And you do turn into your parents.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, it will always be a better version of the previous generation, because you learn a couple of things.
Times are really changing.
Times are changing. But thanks, Mom, for, you know.
Thank you, mothers.
And you realize that your moms, when you were younger, are also first-time adults. They're also learning life. It's their first rodeo in whatever life situation they're in.
And I think that's why all of us Hafis, or I mean, maybe just, people in general have such a glorification over our mothers, because once you come to understand that it was their first time, and then you see all of the selflessness and all the things they were able to do, I'm like, what? I don't think I could be that. So
Exactly.
that's what makes you appreciate it more,
Yes.
right? You're like, wow, you really did that.
Yes.
So,
So happy Mother's Day to
Happy
our mothers.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
And thank you for taking care of us and making us us. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
For
don't think
the trauma and
that actually built a more self-reliant, independent us.
Exactly.
Right?
Resilience.
Yes, resilience. Oh, Filipinos are so resilient.
but it's very weird to say, but this is why I think I gel better with people who grow up like lower middle class,
Same.
because they really understand the struggle, and I also get it with I also connect a little bit more with Asians. Were you hit as a child?
Of course.
That's the thing.
Am I allowed to say that? Imagine my.
I mean,
yeah, it was common, right?
Yeah.
It was a common.
There's a comedian who says this to like white people. Is like, you're like this because you were never hit as a child. And I'm
Oh my
like,
god.
and then I started like, I know he's saying it as a joke, but there's so much meaning in that. Like I don't, of course.
It's one to unpack for sure.
Yeah.
It's one to unpack.
Because they always grow up like, thinking they're holier than thou
Yeah.
and all these sort of things. But when you actually have that humbleness and you realize like the value of so many small things which everyone just takes for granted, then you realize like these are the small things that really make life. It's not about. And it's just very funny. That's why I'm just thinking like, like
Like
this
you
is
still
why
get those flashbacks as an adult, like when your mom gets mad, you're like, okay, I'm an adult now, but I'm still scared of my mom.
Yeah. They make this face like we were
The
talking with
face.
our last episode. We're not scared of our parents' face, like they're angry, but we're scared of that face when they make that, when they're disappointed and they're like,
Oh, that's the worst.
I'm gonna do everything in my power not to make sure that she gets back to normal.
Oh
'cause
my god.
that guilt will haunt you till the rest of your life, man.
That is so true. Yeah. And that's what, brought us up, that, the fear, but the respectful fear.
Exactly.
That there is an authority at home.
Yeah.
And do not get her crossed, because
Yeah, that's
Once
very well
those
said. Yeah,
eyes-
respectful.
yeah.
Respectful fear.
Yeah.
That's very
That's
nice.
interesting.
Yeah.
One random memory that I now you guys have unlocked is do you remember the times where like you'd make faces while they're speeching or
Yes.
something? And
While they're
I used-
mad at
While
you.
they're mad.
Yes.
So I would make faces, obviously, when my mom was, turned her back, because I could never do it in front of her. Hello. The chinela slap would have been intense. So once she would turn out, I'd be like, and then she'd be like, nakikita ko ha. I'm like, how did you see that?
Does she have an eye behind her?
Yeah. I actually used to be like, oh my gosh, she actually has superpowers. Like, I was concerned.
They probably do have superpowers.
And I'm just like, okay,
Maybe
I
it
still
gets
don't-
unlocked when you become a mom.
I
and
still don't get it to this day, actually. So I'm like, you know
you
what?
get
I have
these
trust
mom
issues.
tingling senses of like, I know what my child's doing.
Yeah.
Regardless. They know us
But,
like
Yeah.
from head to toe.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything. It's just, even if they're not looking, they know.
They
what we're
know.
doing.
They know.
Yeah. It's just from
And
the
we all
tone
have
of her
a
voice.
different relationship with my parents. Like she thinks I'm super rude to my mom, but it's,
I don't say that.
no, you say it like, mom was so mean to her. Like because I go say hi to my mom, I drive all the way. I'm like, okay, mom, I'm going now. Then she's like, then my mom makes a sad face. You come only once a week. I'm like, yeah, but I have so many busy things to do. But I'm saying it as a joke, and then
Yeah.
she's like, you're so mean to your mom. Like, but this is how we show
your
love
banter.
Yeah.
at this point. Like even she makes fun of her mom's Filipino accent.
Yeah.
And I see her mom's face, and then I get a little bit scared. But then at the same time, that's how you show love to
Yeah.
your own parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has their own language. Like my mom and I also were never touchy-feely like that. We were not like, oh my God, love you.
Yeah.
No, it was always like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just more action-based.
Right.
And that's why for me, like the way that I show love to friends, family, they're like, you could be more like of a hugger.
Yeah.
I'm not a natural hugger. I actually cringe a little bit when I
Yeah.
have to hug people. But I want to so bad in my heart and soul. I'm like, I want to be a hugger. I want
Yeah.
to be like the sweet type, but it just feels so unnatural because my mom and I were always, I guess, growing up just ganyan,
Yeah.
like she'll buy me something, if she thinks I'm sad or
That's her
something.
love
like,
language.
she'll be like, oh my God, you have daddy issues. Let me take you shopping. I'd be like, yeah, I do.
Or food, like
Or food, yeah.
Food is my mom's love language. Like we would have an argument, and then like a few hours later she'd be like, kumain ka na.
Literally.
Yeah.
With
Let's
like
eat
the
let's eat now.
with the
Ayan na
I'm still
lunch.
tampo to you, but I love you face,
Diba?
like eat.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah, you haven't spoken in hours, then she cooks her favorite food, and you're like, okay, that's how she says sorry. She will not
Yes.
ever
A little
say
bit
sorry.
toxic now that I think about it. I'm like, what? And I really just allowed that. I was like, yeah, I guess we're over it.
She will never say sorry.
Yeah.
She will never say sorry, but her sorry is through action, as
yeah.
you said.
Yeah.
Did we have the same mom?
We all have the same mom. We all have the same mom. Like when I watch those TikToks where they have the recordings of the mom screaming and swearing, I'm like, why is it her voice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's ringing in my head. PTSD. What is happening?
And it's intense when they switch to Tagalog, because my mom would always talk to me in English.
Yeah.
When the moment she went to Tagalog, I messed up.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm getting the belt tonight.
Or when she calls your full name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For us, she would
Oh
do
yeah,
like
full
her,
name is intense.
because we're 3 siblings. She would do like sort of a roll call with
Oh
the
yeah,
3
yeah.
siblings.
Dapat plural.
Yes.
Para
And we're like,
fair.
Why? Why
Yeah.
the 3 of us?
Who
Yeah.
did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I would get punished for my sisters.
Oh, it's the same. Yeah.
It's like that.
I love it. They're still thinking of equality in these
Yeah.
very moments, in these trying times, you know?
Everyone needs to get an equal
You know?
punishment.
Like I'm sitting like, I don't know, on Barbie.com and my sister's getting yelled at and she's like, ikaw din! I'm
Yeah,
like, hello? What have I done?
You're like, I'm just here playing
I'm
with my
existing,
Barbies.
sis.
Why me too?
You know?
Thanks, Mom, for treating us all equally. You have truly shaped us.
Truly inspired.
Exactly to who we are now.
Diba?
No, but we love our moms. I mean,
Yeah.
we joke around, but I really see how we all truly love our
Of
moms.
course,
Yeah.
of course.
So thanks, Mom.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
So that's about moms. Now that we're done, exactly. I was talking to you about this earlier, and how's your heart doing?
When are you becoming a mom?
Okay, one step at a time.
Wow. Let's, step by step, Josh.
Yeah.
How's my heart? It's good. It's
Okay.
very safe. It's very comforted. It's content.
Good.
Wow, big.
Yeah, I like the being vague.
Very vague.
I know how difficult it is to be in like a dating atmosphere, especially in Dubai. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've experienced the same.
Not so much. Like I said,
Okay.
I'm very career oriented kind of person. I find that it just comes and it goes.
Right.
It just depends. So parang hindi ko siya masyadong parang focus.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen and heard, the streets are wild.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The
No
streets
idea.
are wild,
I have
apparently.
no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm glad. I'm like, I'm happy and content when I'm single. And right now, after many tumultuous years of entering toxic relationships, I am in a very safe relationship, I would say.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
Do you have
good
that
to
pressure
hear.
on yourself where you're like, okay, it's now time to slow down and take a step back and start settling down?
Oh my God, hello, yes. Like 29 especially, like, right? I see it from everybody around me. Parang we're trying to get to the mark before we turn 30 or by 30, kailangan, like I'm married already, kasal na. So it's all around me. But again, I don't know. My priorities are a bit more different. I don't put pressure in that aspect. And I've always thought like parang if you have a friendship with somebody, then okay, if you want to take it the next step further, yes, on paper and everything, but I would like to still keep that same friendship, relationship energy intact. I don't think that should change because a lot
Right.
of times the pressures that come with marriage and the traditional idealistic roles each should play, parang it gets in the way, and I don't like that. But I think we can pick and choose depending on who we are as a couple and what our background is and all of the above.
And
so
do
no
you-
pressure for me.
That's good. But do you think being in an Asian background places that pressure on with your age, and how's your mom with it?
My mom is super chill. I mean, no, she may have only said it in the last year, like maybe once na, oh, magpakasal ka na, para diba, para settled ka, ganon.
Right.
But I think she knows me well enough to know that it'll happen when it happens, and if it doesn't, I'm fine. I've got myself. You know that it's really just not it was never really that much of a priority for me. Parang for me, I focus on the love aspect, not the parang marriage aspect. I'm not closing doors by any means. I think but it'll just happen when it happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you got yourself.
Yeah. But no pressure from my mom. My
Okay.
mom's pressure was always finance. Finance focused. Diba? Just
love
settle
it.
yourself, do this,
Yes.
do that. From the Arab side, I think my grandma spoke to me about it once, like, oh, if you have somebody, have them come and meet us, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Yeah.
But again, nothing of that sort. I don't know. I'm blessed. Alhamdulillah. I know it's not the case for other people,
Yeah,
right?
it's not.
But for me, it's chilling.
I love that.
It's chill vibes out here.
Yes, I love it. And your grandmother is still in Bahrain?
She's in Bahrain, yes.
So
She often comes to Dubai to visit. Parang she loves the souk and all of
Yeah.
that, you know, bargaining and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, it's always so lovely to have like family super close
exactly.
and in both aspects, like, in
Exactly.
both sides.
Yeah.
When do you see yourself settling down in terms of leaving this TV presenting life
Ooh.
and going back to, we were talking about, investing in the Philippines
Yeah.
and living the island life in the Philippines.
When do I see myself stepping down from that?
Yeah.
I don't see myself stepping down for it because I feel like, especially now, parang with the times, we're seeing more of people wanting to see people in different ages parang do things that otherwise were only reserved for people in their youth. So I don't see myself ever stepping down. It's a passion, and I don't think you could step down from your passion. Maybe I'll take little breaks here and there.
Right.
But entrepreneurial wise, this is where I think pageantry really came in handy for me because it was more or less a training ground for me to, let me put it this way lang. Kasi I always thought, what is a job per se where I could help people, right? Which was one of the things that I always wanted to do and still get to be myself, but a more refined version of myself, a more confident version of myself, can speak a little more elegantly, walk better, carry myself a certain way, be sociable, but at the same time, parang still get to do the passions that I want. And when
Right.
pageantry came in, I was like, you know what? I've always overlooked you, but it's kind of all under that umbrella,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
In the months that you're training for something, for the pageant, you are essentially parang training yourself to become this better version of you. And that's what now has given me the confidence to say that I can enter entrepreneurship. Now I can focus on my finances. Whereas before I'd be like, di ko kaya yan, I'm not a numbers person. Oh my God, business, never gonna be for me. I'm just gonna stay here with my little modeling and presenting things, which is still not bad, of course. But parang, yeah, it all comes in handy. It all parang falls into the same category. And maybe in 5 years, no, I don't want to say 5 years because then imamadali ko yan. Maybe in the next 2-3 years is when we're going to push for the entrepreneurship. For now, it's more, let's build on this confidence,
Yes.
see where that takes us. We're building the brand, of course, and yeah, just going with the flow. But I'm not pressuring myself to do it at any certain
Very
timeline.
nice.
I love that plan. I love that plan. As you said, it fits naturally.
Yeah.
And it was so nice for me to hear that with pageant, because sometimes you get the notion of like women in pageants are like, oh, they're all beauty. Oh, they just stand there being pretty. But as you said, it takes training.
It takes training.
hard work.
And this is a thing now that also made me parang reconsider what my initial thoughts were on pageantry. But they're being more inclusive now. So they've removed the age limits. I was only able to join again because of this removal of age limit. Otherwise, the max was 28 for Miss Universe.
Wow.
So when I joined in 2022, I was already 27. And there was even a comment I remember saying, sayang siya, she had so much potential, but she's already like over the age limit. She can't join again. And I just thought, like, how sucky. Like, I'm only 27. What do you mean?
That's such a young age.
Well, but when it comes to these things, it's like sports, pageantry,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like the age like 21 is your prime,
Apparently, yeah.
Like those are the things and like when they say like there was this thing where it's basketball commentaries like, oh, he's the oldest person in the team and he's 31. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Right? Like
And
with
then-
Ronaldo and them as well, right?
Yes.
When they were already in their 30s.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's old.
oldest.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's gonna retire anytime now in the next years. I'm like, I'm in the best prime of my life at 33.
Yeah.
But I understand your body is not the same as it used
Yeah,
to be. At
in sports, I
21.
get it.
Yeah.
In pageantry, however, I'm like, we're mostly looking at how you present yourself.
yeah.
And a 50-year-old woman can carry herself in the same way, if not better, than
With more
a 28,
confidence.
25-year-old would with more confidence because of her life's experiences. And that's what prompted me to be like, you know what? Now pageantry is really something I can get behind and rally behind parang and be proud of even more.
Yeah.
Kasi we're being inclusive. We're now including every race, every skin color. I'm seeing more of myself on that stage.
Yeah.
And also it's more focused on really your advocacy. Because for me, I cannot do it if it doesn't have a purpose.
Right.
Parang it needs to have a deeper purpose.
Yeah.
And you know, it's oversaid, it's a cliche and whatnot, but it's really true. I cannot do something if it's not parang walang core.
Yeah.
Walang underlying core. So when there was more of a focus on that on the Miss Universe stage, I really said, okay, now it's aligning more with where I see myself going or with who I am as a person. Because if it was just based on physical assets, what's the point?
Right.
There's no need.
Right.
Diba?
Yeah.
Can I ask something based on what you just said, the skin tone thing?
Yes.
Was that a very big deal for you growing up because you're darker? What is it, Morena?
Morena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you ever insecure about that growing up? Because
Oh,
I know
yes.
girls who are like Morena and they were so insecure and
Oh, yes.
they were telling me like, why am I so dark? I need to use all these whitening
Whitening
products and
products.
everything. And even me, I was very insecure because both my siblings are white.
Oh.
And no, okay, not
Whiter.
white, but whiter. I'm
It's like
literally brown.
debatable.
Yeah.
No, they're white. I'll show you a picture after this as well.
Okay.
But I was always very insecure about that because I said, I grew up more in tune with my Filipino side. So
Yes.
growing up, my friends were a lot of Filipino, and when I saw an Indian, I was just like in my mind, I was like all the stereotypes came into play. I was gonna be baho. I don't want to associate myself with them. They're all. So there was a part of me where I was like a little bit ashamed growing up when I
Yeah.
had like my darker skin or where I looked completely different from my brother and sister. So I wanted to know how it was on you, especially when you went to the Philippines at when you're doing your high school over there, or did you feel anything about I don't like my skin color or
For sure. I was even talking to Janine about this in the Hello Ma'am Sir podcast years ago that whenever I was in Philippines, it was like, ang ganda mo, pero magpaputi ka na ng konti, naku, mas next level yung ganda mo. That was always the
Wow.
comment that I got. And so, and I was always like, "Ugh, like that sucks to hear. Like I don't overthink my looks, you know? I just never focused on my looks or other people's looks like that. And I noticed that was such a thing everywhere, not just in Philippines, but mostly there whenever I visited, parang, oh my God, ang ganda sana. Kaso ano mo na, tapos padiretsuhin mo lang yung buhok mo, magpa-rebond ka, because I had naturally curly hair as well.
Yes.
yeah, all about rebonding over there?
Oh my God, they loved the rebonding back in the day.
Yes.
So there was a time, so that 1 year that I actually studied my high school there, imagine I come in like with this skin color. By the end of that year, I was much lighter. I literally have a picture of my like school yearbook. I ended up with like I was lighter than Janine's skin tone at this point. From this to that, because I was like on glutathione, calamansi. I did all of the works, kojic soap,
Oh my god.
all of that, like avoiding the sun.
Right.
And then you could hear my teachers by the end of the year being like, "Pumuti ka, ganda."
As if it's
And it
real
validated
compliment.
that. Yeah, apparently it validated it very
Yeah.
briefly. Then I finished high school, went back to Bahrain, and they were like, "Why are you so pale?"
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, here we go again. So I go into the sun, and then and then the cycle ended, I think, at some point there when I went back, because I was like, I can't do it. I tried to appease, and I didn't even like how I looked. I was like, I'm
Right.
not used to this. My skin became so, what's the word?
Pasty.
Parang
Pale.
light. It became so weak because of all of the drying ingredients of the kojic and the
All the
lemon,
chemicals
all the
and all that.
chemicals. That I was like, hello, my skin is literally peeling. I have no protection from the sun.
Right.
And I don't even like how I look. So it's done. That was the last of me ever trying to appease people telling me how I should look. Khalas. Now
Yeah.
I'm very good. I love being a morena, and I always did anyway. I just let the perception of other people get in the way for a very short period of time.
Yeah. And that's where it sucks, because sometimes other people's opinions can really get you, even if you're overly confident on yourself and
Yeah.
you're like, wait, should I question?
Especially at that age of like the 16, 17, you
Yes.
know, where you start
are young
comparing
ladies.
everyone.
I'm
to
young,
them.
my God. And I was just thinking now, like, as a whole adult, you really had the gall to come and tell me this? Hello?
Exactly. Yes.
I would never.
Yes. And even
really
with
wouldn't.
weight, you know,
Oh, that's so common.
tumaba ka, or ang payat mo. Like,
Like, na yan, no?
let's
Sa
stop
culture.
commenting on, women's weights. We don't necessarily do that for men.
Yeah.
We don't comment on their skin tones on their so why is it okay to comment on young women's appearances where they might not be as confident or as okay with their, physical appearances.
Yeah.
And I've gotten that a lot as well when I was young. But on the flip side, because I was fairer than my sister. My sister had the Morena look.
So you were praised more
And
for it,
so
I
whenever
imagine.
we would go out, they're like, oh, look at you, so cute. And then they would look at my sister. They're like, oh, kailangan mo magpaputi.
Yeah.
So my sister was very scared of the sun. And, she was always like, but then on the other side, I'm the chubbier one. She's like, oh, you're so mataba. And then my sister was the slender, slim one. So I'm like, where do I
do you
go?
fit in?
I don't understand.
The beauty standards are so
Yes.
different, and
Yeah.
even in Lebanon, right?
And then I
imagine
go
it's
to Lebanon,
different.
and they're like, you're so pasty, like go under the sun. So I would always go under the sun. And then I go back to the Philippines. Oh, ang itim mo. Like,
It never ends.
Yes.
It really never ends.
like I don't know
Yeah.
what to think about anymore.
So you have to, and that only comes with age. And that's the
Yes.
thing. You can only come to your own understanding of what beauty is to you and what your standard of beauty is once you're of age and you've
Yes.
worked on yourself and you've defied every societal expectation
Yes.
of you. Otherwise, my God, talagang everybody could be pressured. I don't blame myself for
Yes.
going on the Kojic soaps.
Yes.
Like, hello, of course I would have.
Exactly. There's no one box fits all.
Yeah.
Beauty comes in different forms, shapes,
Yeah.
sizes, colors, whatever. So let's stop putting
Yeah.
women in boxes.
And that's why it's really important to keep having this. We see it already. We've seen it, a surge of it in recent years, right? The inclusivity and whatnot. And yes, it's a word, of course, na parang cliche na siya almost now and everything, but it's still so necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary because it has already made changes.
Right.
Whereas before, I would co-model with white girls for abayas. I'm seeing more Arab women be actually hired for traditionally Arab looking roles.
The
That's
women who
great.
actually wear
The women who
abayas.
actually wear abayas. And I'm like,
Yes.
that's great. I could have never back in the day. It was usually
Right.
just me and like white girls. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the same for diba, Filipinos. They're pushing for more. Let's see the parang 100% Filipino, although one can argue what really we're a very
100%.
diverse culture
Yes.
still. Bahrainis are diverse, Filipinos are diverse. So I don't
True.
believe in that per se. Pero there is more of a push of we want to see. Yeah, we respect the halfies, but we want to see the Morenas. We want to see the Filipinas,
Exactly,
the Chinitas,
Yes.
different kinds.
Yes.
Let's show us more of that.
Yes, that's
that's great.
beautiful. Yeah, and I want to touch upon what you said earlier when you said that when you were younger, you would see more of like it's a representation of yourself.
Yeah.
It's not like when you see models, you're like, none of them look like me.
Yeah.
So does that mean I can't be a model? I can't be a Miss Universe
Exactly.
because I'm short or I'm chubbier or I'm this or I'm that. So it's a matter of representation and
That's why it matters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm taking part again, because hopefully if we do this, we're going to see more Bahrain. I would just be hopefully the fourth to grace the stage. And what I want to bring with it is to show the half Filipino-Bahraini community, right?
Is there a big community?
A huge community.
Really?
Yeah. So when I tell people here I'm half Bahraini Filipino, they're like, "Oh my God, that's such a rare mix." I'm like, "It's really not." Babe, go to Bahrain.
yeah.
There's a lot of us. You know what I mean? Like I can name maybe like 20 friends that are half Filipino,
Wow.
Bahraini, who just grew up with me from my childhood. There's a whole new generation of them now.
Right.
Because there really is there's so many different kinds of Filipinos and or
Halfies
Bahrainis in
are-
general.
Yeah. I mean, in the near future, everyone's going to be a half and half something.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're headed towards,
Yes.
as we should be. So,
Yes.
none of that anymore.
Yeah.
Parang, because, I watched even you guys' podcast with Jamila, and she mentioned, diba, that in the UAE, parang if you're a halfie, you're not regarded as a full Emirati. And that's true. That's true even in Bahrain, I would say.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'll see it in the comments na parang when they announced, for example, the lineup, some comments will say, but where are the Bahrainis?
Right.
Hello, I'm right here.
Yes.
What do you mean? But then they're looking for that full representation.
Yeah.
But then that really could be argued. That could be argued na parang what even is that? A lot of us are still mixed in the sense. Parang
What
just happens
is
to
a
be mixed with
Bahraini?
something else.
Yes.
But why is it if we're mixed with Asian or something, parang
Then we're not.
then we're not?
Yeah.
All of a sudden?
Yeah.
No, come on.
Very well said. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. Yeah.
Representation.
That's what matters.
Yes. And so where are you headed next to? What's up for Shereen in the next coming weeks?
With the next coming weeks. Okay, well, we're training. 1 month left to the pageant. So it's a lot of, a lot of walk training.
So the pageant will be held in...
I can't disclose.
Oh, okay.
I can't disclose yet, I think.
Yes.
But it'll be a surprise. It'll be live streamed, I believe, or just like how they've done it in previous times. But I'm training for walks. I'm training for my Q&A. I'm, trying to be more comfortable with speaking, even though I think...
You're amazing at it.
Yeah, I think that's
I was
more of
just
my
gonna say
strength.
you're so eloquent and elegant.
Thank you.
See how confident she is. You're gonna knock this out of the
you.
park.
Okay, so
That's
then
why we
focus more on the walk.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Because you said you were so shy in the first podcast. I'm like,
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
You know what it was? I didn't know when I could like
Jump in.
jump in, and I was like, oh my god, what do I add? What do I this? And I was so young. I hadn't formed, like I said, I hadn't found my voice. I hadn't formed my own opinions yet, and I was scared to like come out with my own opinions. Now I'm like, whatever, let's just say it all.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna relate to it, or someone's gonna say no to it. I really care not. We all have varied opinions. That's the point.
So true.
Yeah.
Love that.
So more of that, more of training, more of content. And I really, in the lead up, really want to get Hope Bahrain going.
Yeah.
So I have somebody, Michelle from Ladies of Bahrain, who's going to collaborate with us. So she's going to be the recipient of the donated goods and will help me redistribute them, hopefully, to the moms in need. Because that's the focus at the end of the day. I don't want to get lost in all of the pageantry and whatnot. I want the heart to still be there. So that's really the focus in the next coming weeks. And hopefully we win the crown.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we're rooting for you.
Thank you so much.
And I can't wait to see in the next few weeks the official announcement of you being Miss Universe Bahrain. Manifesting. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's go.
But you're living in the UAE now.
Yes,
so
I am.
you will have to keep on.
Yeah, I always go anyway between Bahrain and Dubai. I'm always in and out. 45 1 hour flight. But I'll be. I mean, if I were to win, when I win, I will be traveling. When I win, I'll be traveling around a lot, right?
Yes.
So it'll be great. I love to do that anyway. So
Well,
We would love to have you back again in
with the crown,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And the sash.
We had a
and
guy
all
bring a
that.
Guinness World Record here, so we would
Iconic.
love for you to bring like a crown and what is the
I'll do
The
it.
sash.
the sash over here. Yeah.
I'll do it.
I just follow up because this is something we actually don't push through a lot, which I want to change. But I would love to bring guests back, and because they always talk about like things that they want to accomplish, and we can see it literally happen.
If they did, right?
yeah, and then I'm like, we should bring them back and tell us how it
How it
was,
went.
because
Yeah.
it doesn't always go according to plan. Sometimes it does. Sometimes
You
it
never
doesn't,
know.
but, yeah, we would-
Rejection is redirection at the end of the day. So, and if I don't, which I'm not putting that into the universe
Yes.
actually, but just
It
in
will
the case,
happen.
just in the 2%,
Yeah.
then I'll be coming with my Sugnaif crown regardless, because everyone still deserves a crown.
Yes. Yes.
of a title.
Yes.
Queen.
And so for those who want to see, the next couple of weeks and leading up to the pageant, they can visit the Instagram handle of
Miss Universe Bahrain, my account as well. I have a broadcast channel. It's called Sherry Tales. And I post like behind the scenes of all of the work that I'm doing and all the training and just checking in with the people. And I'm very open to feedback as well on how I can make the journey better and more inclusive. So if any Bahrainis happen to be watching and you have tips and tricks, ideas on how we can incorporate more of the culture in the lead up to, I'm very open to that as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Shereen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
This was lovely. And we
was-
can't wait to have you back
Yeah.
with the
my God.
crown on your head. Yes.
Thank you
For
guys for
putting that
having
out.
me.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
Well, thank you for being here.
much.
Really appreciate it.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yay. We love you guys.
Thank you to the baby.
And to Max. Just
To
already
Max
passed
is
on.
chilling.
He's actually a
He's sunbathing at this point.
Sunbathing, yeah. Shereen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was lovely.